The day is finally here, and history will be made. 500 years in the making. Live from Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome to FEIC 17. Cryptos Media proudly presents the first annual Flat Earth International Conference 2017. Featuring Rob Skiba, Patricia Steer, David Weiss, Bob Notel, Jeran Campanella, Mark Sargent, Jonathan Christopoulos, Robbie Davidson, Pastor Dean Ogle, Richard Hopkins, Emmanuel Lakanga, Carly Medrano, Iru Landucci, and Darryle Marble, and your Master of Ceremonies, Rick Hummer. Please give a warm welcome to the founder and organizer of FEIC 17, Robbie Davidson. The day is finally here.
This is amazing, absolutely amazing. Just looking out, seeing this day finally happen, just nothing brings me greater joy, seeing everyone here, meeting people. This is a time that we've all been waiting for. For the last 2 years, we have been continually moving a direction, but yet to make it real, to make it come into the fruition of now this is now becoming something that cannot be ignored. This is something that the media, that the world watching us, well, they can mock, they can laugh, but we can also relate because we did as well at first. Most people can relate to the fact that we laughed. We thought that the subject matter that it's going to be carried on here over the next 2 days. You kidding me? Really? But what happens if someone starts to just look into it? Look into it, just for a day or two. Nothing to hurt, right? Nothing really good on TV. Let's check it out. Most of us, if anything, we said, we're going to take this down. I'm going to prove this wrong. It should be easy. But it's not. Why? Why isn't it easy? Why is it that the science community, and as I call it, scientism, because again, all of us, and I can't speak for everyone, but I would almost say that we have no problem with true science. To be able to test, to observe, to repeat the scientific method. Science is great. But how much science are we seeing today? How much science is on mainstream television? How much science is on the talk shows? When it comes to certain issues, why won't they come to the table and debate? You think we're crazy? Why don't you do everyone a favor? Have a civilized debate. We welcome it. When's a good time for you? Your place. We'll make it easy. You name the time. We'll get on a plane. We'll meet up with you. You present your evidence. We'll present ours. Let everyone be a judge. But the fact is, they say the science is settled. The debate's over. Ask yourself the question, why don't they want to have that debate? Why do they just want to ridicule, drop mics, and say that's gravity? Sorry, but the last time I checked, dropping something is not scientific proof of anything. And just like a picture is not scientific proof of anything either. Right? And when is it going to get to a point, I'm waiting for the day that they stop talking about the boats going over the horizon. Is this the best we're dealing with? I was like telling my wife, I'm like, you know what? Maybe at some point they're going to bring up this whole new stuff and we're going to be like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. I mean, it's been over 2 years and it's the same stuff. You know why? Because they have nothing else. Today, 2017, what I find incredibly interesting about 2017, and this is not a religious thing. I want to make clear that we come from all different belief systems, backgrounds, sexes, races. It doesn't matter. You cannot put this in a box. But what I find fascinating is 2017 marks the 500-year anniversary of the Reformation. And if anyone doesn't understand the Reformation, we talk sometimes about, the slogan that I made for this day, for the conference, 500 years in the making. And you can look at it with Copernicus and all the things that were happening there. But what I find intriguing is that Martin Luther, 500 years ago to this year, said, you know what? Risking it all, risking even death, he went against the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic rule that was there, he said, no, we have issues. And it was risky. And there was persecution. There was people, you were going to come under some serious fire. But understand this, that this 500 years in the making marks the new Reformation. It marks a Reformation going forward, becoming real. Because just like the 500-year anniversary of the Reformation with Martin Luther, it changed history. It not only split time going forward, but it affected millions of people. Right now, this day is about to affect millions of people. It will take many years. In my opinion, it's not going to happen in 2 or 3 years. I could be wrong, and that'll be wonderful. People come up to me, dude, you were wrong. I'm like, I know I was wrong. This is great. Millions of people believe in it. But we have to be patient. We have to be patient with people. We have to understand that we were there at some points. Maybe it takes longer for certain people. But I just want to thank everyone for being here, supportive, the presenters, the speakers, all picked because it was important to me that people were here to represent the big picture. Sure, we have differences. We don't all agree with one another. I'd go so far as to say there's not one person that can 100% say this is the model. We don't know. We don't know 100%, but we're asking questions. And while we could be fixated on arguing about these things where they're not even 100%, but the one thing that we're 100% on is that we were being lied to. Right? And while people are going to make so many different ways to look at this, all I'm saying is it's time to look at it of coming together and saying, look, we have our differences. We may not agree with one another, and we can choose to get all wrapped on that, or we can sit here and we can be here and we can grow saying, you know what? We all agree we're not on a spinning ball flying through space. 2 words, and there's no other 2 words that bring the reactions that these 2 words bring. And those 2 words put together are flat earth. And I don't think anyone has seen the reactions that happen with 2 other words, as crazy as those 2 words are. From anger, from joy. Oh, just the mix of emotions, it's incredible. It's incredible to see. And you're like, you think you just laugh it off. But people get angry. People lose family members. People lose friendships. There's a cost to this. But the reward is going to be huge. It really is. And we're in a war. We're in the war, and it's on. It's for the truth. It's not going to be an easy road. I'm not going to sit here and say, we're heading forward, and it's just going to be rosy, no problem. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. So if some people want to bail, bail. But there's going to be a lot of people that say, you know what? I want to see where this goes. And as we go through persecution, as we go through the hardest times of all our lives, it's going to refine us. It's going to mature us. Not just as individuals, but as a community. And it's important. And today, this conference, what's happening here today is important because just like the scientific method being real, this is real. You cannot fake this. This is not green screen here, all right? I'm not green screen. Anyone who wants to debate that, we'll talk afterwards. I'd like to hear that. And in the same way, it's not. In the same way, what I find fascinating is we come from all different beliefs. Myself as a Christian, I put on a conference as a Christian organizer, but I accept anyone to come here if they see the fact that there's a big picture going on. And while we can have our differences, hey man, we all agree on this. And there's nothing bigger than this. And I'd also like to talk to someone if you think there is a bigger lie than this, right? So again, seeing the big picture is important. We need to come together. I believe it's going to be rough, but over time, the reward is going to be huge. And as we develop friendships, as we start networking, the one thing that we will have that a lot of people choose that not to associate, not to be part of this, is we'll have the realness. We'll have real people that have the same quest. They want to know the truth. They want to ask the questions. And this is important. It's important for every one of us. And I know all the presenters, including myself, we will be fair to say we don't 100% know certain things. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with asking the questions. And when we're not getting the answers, something's going on. This should be easy. This should have been a slam dunk. We shouldn't even be having this conference based on the fact of how ridiculous it is to most of the world looking in on this. They should have shut this down. They're not shutting it down, nor will they. This will continue to grow. This will get bigger. And hopefully more people will see the magnitude of this, the importance that we come together and we honestly change the world, literally. And it's going to happen. So I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming. Honestly, couldn't even done this without you. I want to thank the amazing staff here at Embassy Suites. They've been great, including Heather and Debbie, helping to organize and get things together. I want to thank my wife. She's been amazing. It's literally been me and my wife planning every aspect of this. And now that we get here, we've got incredible people like Rick Hummer, John Gabrielson, coming in and really making it what I envisioned, what I really wanted. And for some reason, I'm not sure, but I've been called to be a peacemaker, but also someone that brings people together. So if there's something, you have hesitations, you want to know, I always say, at least get them on the phone, and even better, talk to them face to face. And then make your final judgment. But this idea of judgment calls based on the fact that you've never talked to people or you've never even met them. Let's be real, people. Let's get to know people. Let's bond. Let's grow as a community. It's important. So I'm excited. The next 2 days, planned every aspect. I have surprises. I have amazing things. I wanted this to be memorable as the first annual Flat Earth International Conference 2017. This is the beginning. This is not a one-off. There'll be more announcements soon, but again, you're part of history. Every one of you here. This is history. This will be put in the history books. Today, mark that date, because whether it's the next generation, the generation afterwards, they will remember this day. Just like we remember Robotham or Carpenter, right? Even the people in the wilderness that were screaming out when none of us were doing it, whether it was Powerland or it was Dubé. But now it's come to a point here. And this has got to a point now where it's becoming real. People are taking notice, something's going on, and it is going on. And we're going to continue to go on this journey, and it's all going to come together, and it's going to be exciting to be part of it with every one of you. And anyone that's not part of it, next year, come out. At least do it once before you reserve judgment. Again, we're not talking about any one model. We're not talking about any type of thing. We're just going to focus on what's seriously wrong with the mainstream narrative and what we're being taught from an early age. So I want to leave with that. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank God. Without God, this wouldn't even happen. I want people to recognize that. So whether you're at a point where you're looking at the Creator, because the one thing I can say, there's no atheists in flat Earth. And again, if there is, please talk to me afterwards. I'd really like to hear that. I haven't heard it yet. I'd like to kind of figure that all out. But the idea is, wait a minute, we're unique. There's a Creator. And maybe you're on a quest to find out who that true Creator is, and take your time, ask those questions. Just like you did with science, take your time, man. It's an important subject. But that's the whole idea, is we're all collectively here together. We understand it. We're going a common direction. And honestly, this has all been put together. I'm so grateful for the amazing people, that helped coming together with this. And I want to say thank you to all the presenters and speakers. I've got to know every one of you. And honestly, I've watched for the last 2 years, and I've seen no matter what's coming our way, you guys see the big picture. You understand certain things, and you were willing to say, you know what, we're going to put these things aside. Let's just see. Let's give it a chance. And honestly, I treasure it. I'm grateful for it. Unfortunately, some people, didn't attend this year. It's okay. We're going to move forward. We'll find out what happens. But again, I'm the type that, you know what? I'm all about forgiveness. Just, things happen in life and stuff like that. But again, I'm happy for the people that are here, and it's my great pleasure. Many people know this gentleman based on the work that he's done with Rob Skiba, whether he's on Lake Michigan or he's chasing balloons. Rick Hummer has done a lot of incredible things for me based on the fact of getting to know him in Texas when I was shooting Scientism Exposed 2 with Rob and other ones, and with Rick, and become really close. He's helped me out a lot with the visual graphics and different elements. And it's just my honor and pleasure to announce him as RMC, Master of Ceremonies, for the Flat Earth International Conference 2017. Let's give it a hand. Thank you.
Back up, hold on. I just want to give you a hug, man. Nice.
And that's the one thing. Most people say they're not taller than YouTube, but that's the reality. This is real. Now everyone gets to see who we really are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
That's as real as it gets. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have my ears pop every morning when I wake up. So, wow. All I can say is wow. 3 years ago, right now, if somebody said you'd be right here in Raleigh, North Carolina, what would you have said? No way. No way. What was your first reaction when you heard the term flat earth or read it? First of all, I'd like to say I have a love for everybody that's here, each and every one of you, and especially the speakers too, because the courage that it takes to come out and put your face on something and say, you guys, we've been lied to a lot. And the number one thing that most people say is, well, why would they do that? I don't know what you guys tell them, but I say I think they're trying to hide God. They're trying to hide our Creator. And getting paid to do it. The love of money is the root of all evil. Okay? So I'm not going to preach to you, but I'm going to say I think it's an incredible journey that we're all on together, and it takes a very humbled heart to actually even start investigating this, and a humbled mind. Because the second that you find out what's really going on, the mashed potatoes seem to be going on up there. A little bit of gravy. And then when you really start looking into it, you realize that, man, the stuff that we've been told is pretty corny. Now all we need is a turkey. And they give us Neil. So what I will say is this. As this couple days proceeds and goes on, I can't wait to meet more of you. Just being here for the past couple days, I've realized, man, the individuals involved here and the smiling faces, it's really made me realize one thing. It's like being at summer camp right now. That's what my wife said. She said, I haven't heard you this happy in a while. And I said, well, it's nothing against you, babe. But this has really set me free and set my mind free. And it's made me want to learn and grow. And on something like that, that can only be from God, because I was the biggest class clown you'll ever meet. Trust me. As a matter of fact, I got paid to do it later on in life, doing radio and television stuff. So without further ado, I just want to say welcome. Thank you for being here, brother. By the way, Mark Sargent's the guy that kicked this off for me, and Rob Skiba's the one that said, have you looked into this? I got that phone call one day. We were working on Seed the Series, and he says, hey, man, have you seen any of this flat earth stuff going around on social media? And I went, yeah. I go, why? I go, is there something to it? And Rob's on the other line, and I didn't see his face, but we had talked enough on Skype and everything that I could actually see his face go, well. And I didn't laugh. And he can tell you, I didn't laugh. I went, are you serious? He said, yeah. I'm like, huh. I said, well, send me a link. Mark Sargent. Mark Sargent had a phone number at the end of his video. And I thought, what in the world is this guy doing? This guy is absolutely out of his mind after the first video. But I was intrigued. And a seed got planted. And then video 2 came on, and the seed got watered. And by the time the third video hit, I'm leaving a message. You got to call me, dude. What is going on? And he called back before video 6. I think there were 9 at the time. Yeah. And after talking to him, I realized this dude is crazy, but in a good way. because he's taken on the foundation of our existence by indoctrination on social media, and he's getting people's attention. And even those that may be speaking this weekend, or this week, sorry, it feels like a Saturday, even those that may not believe the same things I believe that the one who created them is using them anyway. But it takes a humbled heart, and it takes a humbled mind, and it takes strong faith without evidence. And we have faith, and we have evidence. So, without further ado, a guy that's been coming up on the scene here that I've had the pleasure to know just the last 48 hours, if that. But it's so funny that every single one of you that I've met, you do not feel like a stranger. And I think that's a common bond. And I think that's the commonality. That there's something about these faces that I'm looking at. There's something about those minds. And there's definitely something about the heart. So, stay humble as you speak to others. Robbie said it best. I'm not going to drag this on. I want to bring to the stage a guy that you've all seen him. And I think his Kickstarter was going onto a plane with a level and started recording. God bless him. Welcome to the stage, D. Marble, a.k.a. Darryle Marble. Come in. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Is this thing on? Okay. Awesome. Rookie here, guys. Jeez. All right. So while we're here, just take a few seconds to look around the room at your neighbors. These may be long-lasting friendships you'll forge here. You'll notice there's not a single tinfoil hat. All right, that's my joke. All right, so... and what you're going to see while you're here, that we're all normal people that have an abnormal perspective on reality. And we come from all different walks of life, different situations, different backgrounds. A lot of us work normal jobs and just live regular lives like regular people, you know. And this, as I see it, is an opportunity to showcase to the world that we're normal people. Just the same, you know, there's not going to be any media spin on this one. You know, we get to speak directly to the camera and tell the world who we are. And that's an excellent opportunity for us. So, just wanted to share with you my story again, as a few of you may have heard already. I'm a regular guy from Arkansas, North Little Rock. You know, wasn't very popular in high school. Didn't make the best grades, actually. I slip into a British accent from time to time. You'll probably notice. Something I work through when I get nervous. You'll see me do that from time to time. I love that accent, man. I don't know what you want me to do. But, you know, what I wanted to bring to the table as a YouTuber, flat earther, is just a connection with people, you know, just to show the world that we're just normal people. We have enough information in this whole community situation. We have, you know, guys that'll give you complex mathematics. They'll give you different experiments and all that. I'll be the energy guy, as it were. I'll bring some emotion to this whole thing. You want to put energy in motion. That's how we get a movement. And that's how I classify this whole flat earth thing. Some say it's not a movement. Yeah, it is, in my opinion. So growing up, not a whole lot of friends, wasn't very popular. I did the normal things that most people do. Got into athletics, all that. Ran track for the last couple of years. I was in high school. got out and got into the military, joined the Army, did basic training at Fort, where was that? Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and AIT, Advanced Individual Training at Fort Lee, Virginia. I was a unit supply specialist, better known as a supply sergeant. While I was in, I was the guy that if you ran out of toilet paper, I was the guy they sent to the supply store to put the order in, restock the shelves, and get that stuff out there. I had to, keep the books in line and all that. So, no complex background that actually ties into this flat Earth thing, but did a year in the desert. Went to Iraq for a year after 9/11, and that was actually where I got into this whole conspiracy situation. Skipping ahead, a little nervous, but it's all good. 0405, did a year in Iraq, and at that point I kind of overcame the idea of being afraid. There's another story I just recently put out about how I overcame embarrassment. May tell that story, but some people already kind of chuckled. You heard about that one. What happened was the locals, they would put mortar tubes in the back of their pickup trucks. They would back up to the gate, not the gate, the fence around the perimeter of the military base that we were on. And in the middle of the night, they would come and fire the mortar rockets over the fence, and just in the middle of the night. What we would have to do whenever that happened, whenever there was a mortar attack, we would have to put on all our gear, run to the nearest bunker, and stay put for a half hour for accountability formation. After about 3 nights of that at 2 in the morning, you kind of, first night, boom, 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 you hear the alarms going off, woo, and then you just get up, frantic, just putting all your stuff on, you take off. After a few nights of that, you kind of get used to it, and I'm not going to lie, there was actually one time I kind of pretended to sleep through the drill. You can't stay on edge constantly, and that's kind of something that you'll realize. You can't always stay angry, you can't always stay happy. That's part of reality. There's this separation. You can't enjoy one thing without another thing coming into play. That's the duality of this existence. You can't enjoy a sunny day without rainy days, right? So there was that situation. Got back, got married. That didn't work out. Had a couple kids along the way. What was doing past that one? So got out of the military, got a job working as a logistics analyst, and after a while, began dating a girl, and we found ourselves living together, and we shared a lot of things in common. And one of those things was our, just open-mindedness. That was one thing that was a factor in us connecting so well, that we were willing to explore other things outside of what was real. So we began getting into what we call conspiracies, these alternative ideas of reality. And what happened, we for about 2 years got on YouTube, burned ourselves out. We looked over everything. 9/11 was where we started, and we just kind of worked our way from there. And we went from one thing to another, Sandy Hook, 9/11, the false flags. We got into the Bilderberg, Rothschilds, Illuminati, all that stuff. So all these general things that one ends up looking into when you go on here, because you look at one video and then another suggestion pops up by another guy, maybe along the same lines. So that's kind of what happens there. And so we got burned out, and decided that we were going to take a breather for a little while, take a step back, step away from that, because what happens when we look into these things, you'll come to a place where you start to get an outlook of the world that's kind of dark, takes you to a kind of sad place, and you. Thank you for that nod there. I need the confirmation, man. Crowd participation, I love it. All right, so you'll get to a part to where you start to feel like reality is just kind of scary, you know? Like you'll find out that nothing ultimately is what it seems to be, and we had to step away from that. Me personally, I hit a serious low point maybe a year and a half ago. Full disclosure here, get ready. So I hit my low point in this whole thing where everything was just terrifying, and I had to detach from reality for a while, and it even affected the relationship. So for about 6 months, I had buried my head in this game, Marvel Contest of Champions. I was the leader of a alliance named Conquerors of the Battle Realm. My username was Digital Ninja X. It was awesome. My best player was Captain America. Anyway, so I just kind of buried myself in that. I had to step away from all that. You'll end up driving yourself insane if you get too deep into that. So it's important to come back up for air and then maybe go back in after you've processed for a while. We all have to take some time to process our emotions when we see these things. So if anything, I'd encourage you to look at one thing, look at another thing, and then maybe step back, get as much information about that, process it in your reality, move on, then go on to something else. But you're going to do what you want to do anyway. It's just a suggestion from one friend to another. So that's where I was at. So after that, we got involved in the political aspect, still kind of playing around in the matrix. I wake up one day in 2016, I'm like, Donald Trump's running for president? What? So I started paying attention to these things, and I'm like, okay, so what's going on? There's this Bernie guy, Hillary. No, okay, so I'm from Arkansas, so I start to look into Hillary Clinton and realize, dude, what? The body count, right? Gee. It is not safe to be her friend, man. So we started looking into these things. I'm like, I was nervous for a few months. I was like, because all the media, they're like, yeah, Hillary's got it by a landslide. There's no way Trump. It's like everybody was anti-Trump. And I kind of fell into that paradigm, even though I had done all this research, knowing that the political theater was just that. It's all an act. It's all a stage. We all know that these are actors just playing a role for everyone. So looked into that, and after a while, it just started to worry me that it looked like she was going to win. So around the time where they actually started rolling the votes out, November 2nd, and was able to take a sigh of relief, seeing that Hillary didn't win, because, man, where would we be if that happened? Anyway, moving along, I felt a little better after that and stepped away from politics for a while and just kind of drifted with circumstance for a few months. Along the lines, we had already figured out flat Earth. What happened during that time where we detached ourselves from the conspiracies, we had got onto Netflix and watched a TV series based on a Stephen King novel, I believe, was named Under the Dome. And we got through that series. It was, first two seasons were all right. The third one, it kind of lost me. It did. It was all bad candy, seriously. Just got weird at the end. But anyway, what happens after you do a Netflix binge? You kind of have this emptiness in your heart. You're like, now what? So to continue feeding that, trying to fill that void, we get onto YouTube, and I type in Under the Dome. And we're looking for behind-the-scenes content. We saw some outtakes, blooper reels. That didn't really interest me. I was looking for more episodes, maybe. Yeah, right. Like it's going to be on YouTube, but not on Netflix. What was I thinking? Anyway, but one thumbnail that stuck out to me, it was a picture of Earth, seemingly, except it was flattened, and there was a dome over it. There was water spilling off the edges. There was out in space, and the title of it was Under the Dome. It was a 2-hour video. I click on that video, and the first words I hear, this is a Reader's Digest version of the Flat Earth Theory and some of the more interesting topics. And that cool voice that I heard, that guy, Mr. Mark Sargent. And like Rick said, this guy put his phone number at the end of that video. That was one of the things that stuck out the most to me. I'm like, okay, he's pretty transparent, you know. He might actually want to talk to people about this, obviously. He put his email, put his phone number up. I'm like, all right, cool. But after that first video, after the first few minutes, we had to pause it for a minute, like, did he just say flat Earth? Because I had never heard that in my adult life, you know. And we'll pause it in between each of the flat Earth clues and, you know, ask each other questions. And we ended up watching that one time Friday night and get something to eat, go to sleep, wake up. We watched that video all weekend, back to back. Like, we'll watch it one more time. We're like, okay, I gotta watch this again. She kind of got tired of it after a while. She just kind of left me at home for a few hours. Just trying to digest them, like, because I had never heard of these things, but each thing started to make sense, that much more sense to me, and I was already primed to see this. I was ready to receive the whole flat Earth idea because we had already come to the conclusion that we had been deceived about so many other things. So, of course, they would lie to us about this. I mean, why not? You know, they tell us that vaccines work. You know, they tell us that milk's good for us. You know, and a whole litany of other things. Litany, like I say that on a regular basis. just pulling stuff out of here. Anyway, so litany. Anyway, so what happened? Just a regular guy, just talking. All right, just hanging out with friends. All right, so. You know, we were ready to see this thing, and from there, it was one more thing. I started looking into ODD stuff, Jeran, Rob Skiba, you know, interviews by Patricia Steer, just, you know, the interview by Dave Murphy. I wish that guy was here. That guy was awesome. We were back and forth on, what was that, Skype this morning? Good guy. I love that guy. So, you know, just going through the information and processing it, but for a while, I was a classified closet flat earther. You know, it took me about 4 months before I actually talked to somebody outside the apartment about this. Look, and even then, I was in my car on the way to work. I like pulled down my rearview mirror and looking, and I'm like, I think the Earth is flat. You know, it takes a while, man. You know, because this is a concept that goes contrary to the mainstream narrative on the whole. So you got to be ready to be called crazy if you're going to say this out loud. So, you know, I had to get comfortable saying it to myself, and then away I went, talking to people at work. And they told me to stop doing that after a while. Anybody else? Okay. Got it. They're like, no, dude, it's round. I'm like, you mean spherical. Anyway. Don't even have the proper terminology for what they claim to believe, but at any rate, just moving along. So that's the flat Earth awakening in a nutshell. Just moving along from that, after that whole political thing, we had calmed down. I was still a flat earther, not as vocal as I used to be. But what happened, I still kind of ended up breaking the rules. So I still ended up talking to guys at work about it. I'm a transportation tech, so I'm responsible for calling drivers in and out to ship and receive vehicles for a contracting company. So I work with a download team, and they're also responsible for getting the vehicles uploaded to get them shipped out. And they go on break every day at 9, so what I do, I kind of sneak out of the office at 9 o'clock. I go where they're taking a break, and I'm like, all right, guys, so here's what I learned in this video I was watching last night. You know, so I'll talk to them a little bit each day. And, you know, met with resistance for the first few sessions. I was kind of like the flat earth teacher in the area. It was awesome. But after a while, they started to ask questions and became more receptive to the idea. So out of the 5, I was able to convert 2. 1 was on the fence, and the other 2 were still resistant. You're going to be all right, Jake. Anyway. Still love you, buddy, if you see this. But it's all good. And Clint. Anyway. But, you know, the guy started to ask questions, and I got back to him after a while, and there was a meme, a series of pictures that I saw mashed together on Facebook that said, these are things that won't work on a spherical Earth. It was, I believe, a periscope, a sundial, spirit level, and compass, gyroscope. It might have been a gyroscope too. It might have been 5. However it goes, didn't have a sundial handy. I had a compass, but I didn't know how I would use that to conduct an experiment. But quickly, after I got off work and I talked to the guys, I was like, no, a level wouldn't work on a globe Earth, Omar. You know, and he's like, well, what do you mean? So we went back and forth with that for a little while. And after work, I went to my favorite department store, Lowe's. And I bought this. I bought this thing. And, you know, I went back and I said, okay, look, so what would happen, since we're here in Tacoma, if this is level here, I couldn't really explain it all that well then. I'm like, if this is level here, the bubble stays in the center, we drive 2 hours away to Portland, and it's still level there, that means it's flat, right? You know, but I thought about trying to do an experiment, driving my van, I also live in a van, by the way. I thought about doing an experiment driving down with my van, but I would have had to have a guy holding the thing in the driver's seat to make sure we didn't go over any curvature on the way to Portland. My camera would have ran out of battery life. I wouldn't have been able to, the storage, it wouldn't have worked out. But I remembered I had a flight coming up, going to visit my daughter on her 10th birthday. Hi, honey. I took the level with me, and on the flight out to go see her, I had propped the level on the tray table. So I had already done the experiment before I actually filmed it. And you should have saw me. I like get the thing sitting on the tray table, and I'm just staring at the bubble for about 10 minutes like, it's not moving. The guy next to me is like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, no. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna prove that the Earth is flat, man. You know, I mean, he would have thought I was crazy for sure if I'd have came out there. So I only checked it out for about 10 minutes while I was on that flight, and then I get there. We're hanging out that weekend. Went to the birthday party and all that. I was scribbling down my notes for the recording and all that, and you know, I still had it in the back of my mind the whole time as to how I was going to present this. So I was like, okay, so I need to get my hair braided. First off, I mean, you got to be fresh on screen, right? Anyway, it's kind of a social experiment I'm doing here. I'll explain that later, maybe. But got that together, got my notes together as far as explaining the experiment, and you know, the weekend was over and it was time to get back on the flight. So, you know, I'm like, how to do this? I set up my computer, record talking here, and do another recording at Savannah, walking through the airport. I'm like, okay, we're about to get on the plane. So I, you know, set up the camera, and you know the rest, probably. So I posted that video for a small group of people on Facebook, and that was about it. Did not expect anyone to pick that up and put it on any forums to be looked at. I later realized, or found out from a coworker, that he took my video and put it on a Reddit thread and said, hey guys, what do you think about this? I'm like, Dustin, really? So, you know, I saw it getting more views on YouTube because in April I had 27 subscribers. And today it's well over 22,000. So that's totally new to me. I'm the new guy. So from there, what happened, I go to work one day, it was a Friday, and I saw that the views on the video went to about 7,500. So I get a comment to my phone. My phone was vibrating more than it ever has been because, like, nobody knows me, you know. I'm getting notifications from YouTube on this video, and I get one comment. I pull my phone out, and it's from Mark Sargent. He says, "Hey, you made the news, man." I'm like, "What?" Posted a link. I click on the link. It's IFL Science. Flat Earthers experiment goes viral, but not in the way he predicted. I'm like, 7,500 views is not viral. Who wrote this crap? So, you know, I go through this thing, and I'm reading the article. Now, we've all experienced being called names, ridiculed and all that, but it's one thing to be called an idiot to your face, but for somebody to write an article, totally different. Totally different for somebody to write an article calling you a moron. So they took screenshots of my Twitter post. They, you know, put my name and my face. They used my real name, for crying out loud, on this thing. I'm like, still wondering if I can sue some way or not. Anyway, I'm sure somebody knows some legalese in here. You get with me after this thing in the hallway. But after that, you know, I start getting all these attacks, you know, people calling us names, the trolls, the people who are still holding on to this globe earth belief. Calling me names, just, hey, you're a moron, you don't know about gravity, you don't understand physics, of course it wouldn't have had to dip the nose down. All these things that we hear on a regular basis. Gravity! They love that one. It's their favorite, you know. It's like their Lord and Savior, Gravitron. All hail. Anyway, so, you know, from there, you know, I started making videos to kind of defend myself because I'm like, I'm just a normal guy. I got tired of answering the same questions to everybody, as we all do. And that's basically all my channel started off as. But after a while, I kind of came to a different conclusion. That this is about more than just defending myself. This is a paradigm shift. This is a lot more than just trying to get a one-up on anybody as far as what we believe. We're not trying to express any degree of intellectual superiority over anyone, so much as just trying to wake people up to the idea or make them aware of the idea that we've been lied to. You know, and it's what you would do with any friend. I mean, if you have a friend and you know that they've been deceived to some degree, you're going to pull them aside and say, "Hey, man, you can't. She's not right for you, bro. I know you don't see it. I see it. What I know is okay." So anyway, But you want to tell people about this. This is why we go to our close friends and family and try to alert them, make them aware to this thing. And it's successful with some people and other people not so much. Luckily, in my existence, my family, they're cool. You know, they get this thing. You know, I went home about a month ago. Pops picks me up from the airport. You know, we're just back and forth making small talk, and then there's a little quiet time. He says, "You know, it only makes sense that the earth is flat if you think about it." I'm like, yeah! I know, right? That's what I'm talking about. Got Pops on board, man. So, just give it time. Just give it time. We're just planting seeds, you know. Seeds take time to grow. It takes corn like 90 days. So, give it a while, right? You know, everybody's not going to flip right off like that. Some people are more ready than others, and some people just aren't going to get it. What we're here to do is find the ones who are ready to get this thing, you know. And, you know, as a result of that experiment, articles have been written about me in, you know, the UK, Australia, Lebanon, Israel, Lots of different places in the U.S. And if you Google spirit level guy, I'm the spirit level guy for all eternity. So I don't know. Maybe I should have bought some Swanson stock. I don't know. Missed out on that one. It's all good though. But this is an opportunity here at the conference to forge some lifelong friendships. Because I've met a few people already. I've met a lot of great people. It is great. I always promote meetups. It's always great, amazing energy in the room. Because what happens is after we come to this reality, this realization that the world isn't what we believe it is, we want to tell people around us, we want to tell our friends, families, co-workers, and we find ourselves to be somewhat isolated. And we want to talk to people about this thing, but nobody wants to talk to us. And getting to these meetups, it gives you an opportunity to talk to people about flat Earth as much as you want to talk, they want to talk too. So that's all good. It's a win-win. So while you're here, I encourage you to exchange phone numbers, because that's what phones are for, to talk to people that you want to communicate with. Exchange emails, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, however you communicate. Make some friends here. It's going to be good. This whole, we'll call it a weekend. Nobody's going to work tomorrow, are they? All right, let's call it a weekend then. I'm saying it's just awkward. This Thursday and Friday, make sure, this weekend is going to change the world, if you think about it, because what we're doing is actually going contradictory to the mainstream narrative. And there was one thing that I wanted to read. I had actually heard this morning, and it kind of resonated, and I just thought it was cool. So it says, as the war between light and darkness continues, heroes and villains become harder to identify. Kindred spirits separated at birth, fighting for their place in time to be solidified. The clock ticks faster and faster while time runs the marathon in this Babylon. But you see, the end is only the beginning of the calm before the storm. I thought that was cool. I just want to throw that in there. But that's what this is, guys. This is a paradigm shift. This is a new way to view reality. What we do from here is move forward however we can, expressing ourselves whatever way that we can, and we all have different strengths. Some of us are extroverts and can make videos and want to jump in front of the camera and act all crazy and stuff. So some people can do that. Others want to just get behind the mic, post pictures while they do a voiceover. Other people want to draw and do art. People can do music. However you want to spread the message. If you want to write on the side of your van, Earth's surface is 71% water, bodies of water do not curve, therefore the Earth is flat. And you want to drive around just kind of red pilling people in traffic, then do that. It's a great conversation starter, I can tell you. I get people walking up to my van taking pictures all the time. I'm like, is that even legal? But that happens. I mean, so I'm excited about this thing. I'm always willing to spread the message about this thing, and I believe that we all are too. I don't believe there are any closet flat earthers here, and if there are, get out of the closet. We need you. Because what we're doing here, this is somewhat of a battle, more or less between good and evil. No, more or less. This is a battle between good and evil, okay? Because what we do at this point, we're spreading information, opening people's minds to a concept that brings them to the conclusion that this place was created. This place was fashioned by a divine creator. And that when we come to that conclusion, well, you have to look at the other side. Well, who would want to hide that fact? The bad guy, obviously. I'm a simple guy. I'm the common sense guy. That's what I do. So, I mean, looking at it like that, you know, this is what you've been waiting for. I find when I talk to people that we all have this similar story, like we never really fit in, weren't really always the most popular, outspoken people. We could sit in a room with people while they're talking about things that have zero relevance to what we're talking about, and won't so much get into it. I mean, I was just the same way. I'd go to work Monday morning around this time of year, and everybody's talking about their football games, and this guy scored this much, and there was an epic fourth quarter, and did you see that play? I'm like, no. I'm sorry, I'm kind of on some other stuff, man. That's, get excited about a bunch of men in tights. I don't roll that way, bro. So, no, I mean, just, you know, mainstream reality keeps us so distracted with things of no real importance. I mean, you know, and I used to ask people from time to time, and guys would get upset about this. I'm like, so, I don't get this. So what you do, you buy these jerseys, you paint your face, you go to these games, you're a season ticket holder. So showing all this team spirit, making sure that you get to all these games, you've even written things on your car, you have all these stickers. So at the end of the year when your team wins, what do you get? They're like, the excitement, you get bragging rights. But you didn't do anything. You don't get bragging rights for being a fan. Anyway, I'll move off of that one before somebody's probably like, screw you, D. I love my team, man. My cousin plays for them. Anyway, it's all good. But, you know, I mean, it's these things. Go Saints. Cut that out, Candy. But, but you know, it's just things that you know have no true value in life. Let's put our focus where it's going to matter later. Things that you know are going to carry over and maybe make an impact in the world. Like you know, showing people that things aren't quite what we've been told. Crying out loud. People in this reality, in this society that is, have been so detached from reality that they'll argue this concept and tell you that, yeah, of course, I've seen the curve. I'm like, no, those are implanted memories. I've looked out of the plane. I saw it. No, you haven't. Here's this video I made. I filmed the whole thing. See any curvature? Well, you're not high enough. There's not enough weed in Colorado. To get high enough to see the curve, okay? You'll start thinking you're spinning. But you know, still, I mean, just those things. It's like our senses don't tell us anything about there being any curvature. Our eyes don't see the sun as being 93 million miles away. When I put my feet on the ground, I don't feel any movement, but we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. Oh, the atmosphere. I'm sorry. Here, break this down for me. Other than the Earth, can you give me an example of a enclosed system existing next to a vacuum without a physical barrier? That fries their brain cells, I'm telling you. They short circuit when you ask them that question. Yeah. Gravity with two B's. So, you know, just things like that. Our senses don't pick up on these things. So, you know, I take a really common sense approach to this whole situation. You know, when I'm explaining this thing, it's just water. Water, you know, everywhere you see it. The surface lays flat. You grab a bottle of water, drink half of it. You look at the surface. Come on, man. And you run your bath water, let it sit for a little bit. You're going to see this flat across the whole thing, man. Go to the pool before you jump in the pool. You know, growing up, used to go fishing with my dad all the time. You know, he would wake us up really early in the morning, about 5 before the fish start jumping, so we could go fishing and all that, because he worked at a place that was connected to the Arkansas River, and we would go there with him, go to the bait shop, pick up some worms, grab some snacks, A&W root beer. That was delicious. Barks? Are you kidding me? A&W, baby. Anyway, so, you know, and then we would get out to the water, but I remember getting out and looking across the lake, and it's early in the morning before anything's going on, and the lake's just calm. From one side to the other, it looks like glass. And as soon as I heard about flat Earth, that's what snapped it into place with me. Remembering those memories going fishing with my dad, because, you know, I'm like, water doesn't curve. So you're telling me, old Joe Bag of Donuts, globe head, what you're telling me is that water lays flat everywhere except for the oceans. Well, yeah, gravity, because gravity affects. I'm like, all right, dude. So, you know, moving on from there, guys, just continue doing the best that you can to spread the message as far as this thing goes, because the way I see it, in the next 5 years, this thing's going to be common knowledge. And I believe that we're right here. We're going to affect change in the world, and we're going to do the best that we can to probably shorten that period of time, because this is exponential. When people get discouraged as far as talking about this, I like to say, well, think about this, you know. After you talk about flat Earth and, you know, have people in the mainstream talk about this, they say, you know, this person is going to make flat Earth look crazy. I'm like, well, even if they are, think about this. One of three things is going to happen. One, somebody's going to hear about flat Earth that's already a believer in the globe, and they're going to continue being a believer in the globe. Two, they're going to look into it and then go back to believing in the globe. Or three, they're going to really look into it with an open heart, and they're going to become a flat earther. So our numbers only grow. Our numbers only grow. We only increase. So we're going to get to a point where there's going to be a degree of saturation. There's going to be a tipping point where consciousness on Earth, on this flat plane, goes from believing that we're on a spinning ball to knowing that the Earth is flat and that we've been lied to. And that's when the change can begin. And right now, as far as any infighting, any bickering that may occur, that's irrelevant. It's so minute, so unimportant that we shouldn't even really waste our time with it, myself included, although recently. Anyway. I'll try to keep the shades off in the next few videos. You know I go into fight mode when I do that. Anyway, but what's going to happen is we understand that this is a way to move forward in the future to make things better. This is a struggle between good and evil. We are on the side of light. You are the soldiers of truth. You are the warriors of the light versus the darkness. So appreciate yourselves for having the courage. For having the courage to do what you do concerning spreading this truth, because this is the most important thing that we can do, because this is the very foundation. This is the basis of our reality. Everything that we know about reality is based on this one thing. And once we figure this out, once we get the world to figure this out, things are going to change for the better, because things have been suppressed that will make things, take things to a more positive direction. So this is for future generations. There is, in my opinion, no more worthy cause than to spread the truth about this whole flat earth reality. Okay? I'm just glad to be counted amongst great people here, to be a voice in this movement. And I want you to be encouraged to know that your voice counts also. Whether you're a speaker, whether you're on stage, whether you're a content creator or not, there are people that you're going to reach that I can't. There are going to be people that you're going to reach that Mark Sargent can't get to, or anybody else in here. So your circle of influence is important. And again, I encourage you from here to meet some new people, shake some hands, exchange some cards if you have them, exchange information, and make some friends out of here, because it's necessary to encourage yourself, because we get so much negative pushback from the outside world who still believes that mainstream narrative that we live on a spinning ball flying through infinite space, and explosions can come out of nothing and people can evolve from monkeys. So, but there are still monkeys, oddly enough. However that goes, you know. They say that we came from, that at some point fish just crawled out of the primordial ooze and evolved into this or that. I'm like, that's weird, because every time I pulled a fish out of water, its evolutionary process ended almost immediately. But just want to thank everybody for coming out. Glad you made it. I'm glad I made it. And, you know, be encouraged. You know, have fun. Have fun. Take this in. Take selfies. Take lots of pictures with people. Hey, catch me in the hallway. Let's take some pictures. Give me a big hug. I don't mind. You know, hey, it's me and you right after this. So, you know, it's all good. But knowing that these individuals are here and that we're all on the same page, we as a Flat Earth family give each other the strength and vitality, fortitude of character to live fearlessly. And that's what this is all about. So from here, go ahead with this truth and do the best that you can. I'm Darryle. I'm your friend. This is the Flat Earth Offensive, and you are the resistance.
Great job, brother. Great job, man. D. Marble. Darryle Marble. Hey, Darryle, I got to ask, when you went on the plane and you're doing the test, were you nervous about doing it at all?
Oh, no. Two ladies next to me, they were asleep.
The two ladies next to me were asleep. Okay. I just want to make sure.
You saw the videos you have with the dog?
Well, I can tell you this. Doing the tests alone is very important. And there are so many easy tests to do. Just little ones that'll blow your mind. You're like, wait a second. The moon puts off a cold light? What? What? I actually had this happen. Let me share this real quick. I had this happen to me, it was a little over a year ago. And a group of guys were together. We were playing cornhole. I'm from Indiana. You kind of have to play cornhole in the winter. It's a sanity thing. So one of the guys showed up. He came into the barn. He's like, oh, Homer, yeah. Where's your aluminum foil hat, man? I said, dude, that's how stupid you are, man. It's tinfoil. It's tinfoil. He's like, well, okay, you got me on that one. But it's still pretty stupid what you say. Okay, have you had any beers? Okay. Well, you're going to need one, because I'm going to blow your mind right now. Grab your little infrared thermometer over there on your daddy's workbench. And let's go outside and look at the moon on the snow. And let's test a shadow. And then I'm going to show you something in Genesis. What? Yeah, I'm going to show you something in Genesis, and I'm going to prove to you that the moon is a lesser light. It's the negative light. And the Bible is true. It's very true. So if you could have been there with me when he saw the numbers come back from the shadow to the moonlight on the same snow in 22-degree temperature. Yeah. The guy actually never said anything to me again about foil. So it just takes that one person. So from a guy that was giving me a hard time for the last 10 years on different conspiracies or whatever, trying to wake people up, it's the experimentation. What Darryle did on the plane, what Rob and I did on Lake Michigan, which was a blast, by the way. That was a good time. I actually had more fun doing that than chasing balloons, but that's a whole other story. But I will say this, it's the getting out there and not being afraid, telling the truth. And no matter what happens, you're going to have somebody say something to you. Gotcha. You're going to have something and somebody trying to resist everything that you do. No matter what, you're never going to have 100% on your fan club. And that's one thing I will tell you guys, most of you don't know. I used to do radio for a living and television. I still do a little TV thing for our PBS affiliate, trying to help out mom and pop businesses. But even today, and it just happened, and I had no idea. But for some of us that have been, coming into this community, it's kind of like just having fun. So yesterday we were taking pictures doing this. Guess what I just found out? The Freemasons own this one too. No idea. But I've already been accused. The whole thing is I've already been accused of being a shill. You do green screen stuff. Oh my gosh, Rob Skiba. Oh my gosh, you know Mark Sargent. You know this guy. You know that guy. No, I'm in the company of some really damn good people. That's the thing. And I got another one coming up. And a guy that just in the last year I've been able to actually have some great conversations with and now a part of a group with, as well as Bob Nodell. And some other fine folks that are here. But I will tell you this, we're going to take a quick break. You guys can get up, stretch your legs around, and walk around, grab something to drink, coffee, lemonade, water. But I just want to say thanks again for being here. And coming up next, we're going to have Jeran from Jeranism. Yep. And I can only tease that we've got some stuff coming up that we'll announce tomorrow. There's a big announcement coming up tomorrow. And I'll be bringing some people up here. But I can't say a whole lot. I just got to say, we're going to tease you, but when we're talking about doing experiments and talking about coming together and bringing the minds together and talking and bringing this stuff up, we have a major announcement coming up tomorrow, and I'll leave it at that. And it's an international deal. So, all right, thanks for being here. Love you guys. There you go. 10 minutes, about 10 minutes, guys.
Your mind never learns to question their authority. They teach you to fear critical thinking is crazy because it goes against the majority.
So let's cross-examine a few known facts about this thing that we call perspective. And must be humble and truthful and real and not like politicians during elections. Now the tale of the tape stands me on the shore of this beautiful place called Michigan. And looking to the west 50 miles we see Chicago, and no, I'm not kidding. See, the water is flat, and that is that, and science is telling me that Chicago isn't where it's really at. And that's just a big confusing mess.
So we did our own tests.
8 inches times the mileage squared. That's right, 8 inches times the mileage squared. 8 inches times the mileage squared gives you the curvature of the earth. Now to find out the curvature in feet, just divide by 12, because, well, that's how it works. Now remember, we were 50 miles away from Chicago going all the way back over the water of Lake Michigan.
Break it down! So we take 50 times 50 times 8 inches, it gives us 20,000 inches. You divide by 12, it gives you 1,667 feet below the horizon that Chicago should be. But it isn't.
It isn't a ball. It isn't at all. Picture say 1,000 words and sometimes and I need it at all. Picture say 1,000 words and sometimes and I need it at all. Picture say 1,000 words and sometimes and I need it at all. Picture say 1,000 words and sometimes and I need it at all. What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take to make you see straight?
One thing for sure is they've been lying to you. Liar, liar, pants on fire. 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 Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Hey, bass, you ready? How about you, Harmony? Are you ready? I know exactly why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm not scared to pass along what I share. Spreading truth where I dare, 'cause I care. Clowns on top of us, jokers underneath. They say I'm stuck on a ballers with you. They made up gravity too, and I think I know just what to do. It's not hard to see they always fake space. I'm dropping seeds all over the place. Clowns to the top of us, jokers underneath. They say I'm stuck on a ballers with you. Started out with nothing which exploded. They called the Big Bang. And then the stuff started evolving, climbed right out of the ooze and said, please believe. Trying to make some sense of it all, but their fiction makes no sense at all. Yeah, they want us all to sleep on the floor, but I don't think that we can take any more. Of these clowns to the top of us, jokers underneath. They say I'm stuck on a ballers with you. Well, we started out as nothing, we exploded. They called the Big Bang. And then the stuff started evolving, climbed right out of the ooze and said, believe, believe. I know exactly why I came here tonight. I got the feeling something ain't right. I'm not scared to pass along what I share. Spreading truth when I dare, 'cause I care. Clowns on top of us, jokers underneath. They say I'm stuck on a ballers with you. Stuck on a ballers with you. Stuck on a ballers with you. No, I'm not stuck on a ballers with you.
Folks, love each other, would you? And remember that God loves you very much. And we'll talk soon.
Out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Where my FE Warriors at? The earth is flat. What you know about that? Waking up and realize 500 years of the lies. It's flat. A material plane. You got the balls on the brain. Heliocentric insane. No matter how high we rise, even up into the skies, the horizon meets your eyes. They told us it was a globe, just so they could control our mind, body, and soul. Born into a brainwashed society, had you believing in the ball since you were age 3. Scientism, the new religion, put you inside a prison while constantly drilling that you live in a solar system. Space, the final frontier, keep them hooked with Hollywood, new movies every year. We've been hypnotized, all we've been told is lies. In a heliocentric haze, says Copernicus take his claims. They tried to hide the truth. The fake landing on the moon was because they needed proof. So they had Apollo take a picture of the globe outside the window for the television show. Was it a painting or photo? I think math for the intro and Dubé for the info. Yeah, they put me in the know that NASA is just a show. Sayonara to the globe, cause it's flat, I'm gonna go.
By turning Earth into a spinning ball thrown around the sun and shot through infinite space from a godless Big Bang, they turned humanity into a random, meaningless, purposeless accident.
The Earth is flat. What you know about that? Waking up and realize 500 years of the lies. It's flat. They mess with our brains. to control our mind, body, and soul. It's flat. The material plane, you got the balls on the brain. Heliocentric, insane. Infinite plane or a dome. It may never be known, but the earth is our home. Yeah. Why am I flat earth? 'Cause I didn't sing along. Yeah. Come on. The earth is flat.
The biggest cover-up and conspiracy in history. We've been completely deluded for 500 years.
FE unity. Peace.
60 years ago, when the Russians beat us into space, we didn't deny Sputnik was up. We didn't argue about the science or shrink our research and development budget. We built a space program almost overnight, and 12 years later, we were walking on the moon.
All the pictures that they take, walking on the moon. I know that it's something, walking on the moon. They think they're so clever, walking on the moon. They can last forever, walking on the So they say, sending people to outer space. No way, there's never gonna be a moon base. It's our fate. Nobody's ever going to Mars. Nobody's ever gone to the moon. Forget about it.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage.
And in case there are any conspiracy theorists out there, how would you prove to us that you're in zero gravity?
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Mind control to Major Tom.
All right. That's what I'm doing. All right, guys. Can everybody hear me? For those of you out in the lobby, you might want to tell everybody that we're getting ready to start things back up. I'll give you guys about 90 seconds. We've got about a minute and a half, guys. Sorry, we didn't give you a countdown. I should have came on here a couple minutes ago. Got about 90 seconds, about a minute and a half. We still got about 90 seconds, about a minute and a half. About a minute and a half yet, yeah. everybody see that guy? I think it was the Grammys, where the countdown's going. And he kept going, we're about to get started right now! And the clock says there's a minute and a half. Yeah, okay. Alan, can you turn my mic up? There we go. How's that? How about if I eat it? You know what it is? Yeah, John? I'm trying to talk louder. We've got about a minute and a half. How's that? I'm getting talked to here and talking here. There we go. Now you can hear me? Can you hear me now? Need a pair of glasses? Hey, real quick, and when you come in, guys, as you sit down, if there was an empty seat next to you, can we start kind of moving in together, because more and more people are showing up now, and I don't think they want to be rude and like having to walk through everybody. Besides that, when somebody walks in front of you, there's somebody's butt in your face. So it might be for health reasons that you do this. Major Tom, are you there? Just so you all know, this conference, all the work that Robbie put in, and the countless hours, I don't know how the guy's still walking around. So. How you feeling, Robbie? What's that? History is being made. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, it was already made. It was just we're fulfilling it. How's that? No accidents. No mistakes. Happy accidents. How's that? How many people do we have here from outside the United States? Clap your hands so I can hear you. I can't see you. Okay. How many came from the West Coast? Make some noise for yourselves. How you doing, brother? Josie. Good to see you, brother. It's awesome, man. You made it. Did you fly in? Are your arms sore? Yes, here they come. I get to use all the Papa jokes. They weren't all bad. They were just predictable. All right, is everybody in? 30 seconds, and then we're going. We got people on online going, what are they doing? If you were here, you'd know. I'm just looking around, looking at people from what I can see. But man, it's surreal. It's very surreal. Patricia Steers down here. It really is. It's a joy. It's a joy. I don't know. It's so weird. Surreal. That's the best word I can use, surreal. Nathan Thompson's here too. What's up, Nate Dogg? I love you, man. I'll bring that up, by the way. Yeah. I kind of wanted to play the video though, because some people may not have seen it. But I don't think they can get it queued up in time. We'll have to do it tomorrow. So I'll do that tomorrow. But yes, thank you for reminding me. Because it is important. Because most everybody that's seen it goes like, whoa. Should have been there. Should have been there. All right, everybody in? Coming down in 10, 9, 8, count with me, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there's no liftoff. Because we're not going to waste your money. I'm still waiting for PETA to go after NASA for polluting the ocean. And it's not with astronaut debris. It's not with astronaut debris. All right, I think we're ready. Give me the cue, guys. I'm just waiting on you. Good to go. All right. All right. So without further ado, as we continue on with this conference, FEIC 17, I still can't believe we're here. I really can't. It's so cool. And I will tell you this, I'm exhausted. I have not done this type of running around and staying awake. And it's not, and it wasn't like somebody was like putting a gun to my head saying, you must stay awake. No, it was like, I could not go to sleep last night. I don't know about any of you, but I was like, there was a rush. And probably sugar rush, because I had a lot of cookies and pop yesterday.
I heard you wouldn't go to sleep last night.
I would not go to sleep last night. I couldn't. I think I was the last man. I think I even beat Robbie Davidson last night. I was the last man standing. Huh? Half hour? You are the man. No wonder you're so skinny, dude. Burning everything off. It's like Robbie doesn't burn the candle at both ends. He cuts it in half and you have 4 flames going when he lights it. Like, how's that? Take that. All right. This next guy that's coming up, I've had the pleasure, just especially in the last month and a half. Woo, that was not good. The last month, sorry, not about Jeran, but that just blew my ear off. The last month and a half, we've been really getting together a lot more, a group of folks. And I will say this surprise tomorrow when you hear about this, and some of you may know already, and that's cool. It's not like you're under a contract, you have to keep it. You can tell people if you know about it. But it's an exciting opportunity for not just us, but for all of you and all of us, and people that don't even know about it yet. It's groundwork that's being done. And when I started looking at all this stuff, thanks to Skiba and thanks to Sargent, Jeran came into the picture, Jeranism. And I liked the way that he was analytical. And Jeran and I, we're friends. We're going to be working together on some things. And we don't agree on everything. Yet. But it is a privilege and an honor to be amongst all these folks. But it's even cooler to bring out Jeran Campanella of Jeranism.
Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. We come to you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage. Mirage.
Astronauts to the moon.
Ignition sequence start. 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. We come to you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
All right, now we can go.
Astronauts to the moon.
And that can end now. I'm just gonna let that play for the whole time. So it's an honor, guys. It really is to be here. To see this is it's like a dream. It really is, because when this all started, I was looking for the truth. You guys know that, and I didn't know where it was going to lead, and I certainly never thought this was where it was going. But what I found out is that there's more people like me. There's more people that have questioned everything that they've ever been shown, and that they realize it's okay to question. So I wanted to thank you all for bearing with me through my videos, through my crappy live feeds that I can never figure out the audio to, and for listening to Monday Night Raw. Miss is not here to join me. We have a new puppy whose name is Mr. Puppy, but he has a little bit more of a separation anxiety than I do, so he ended up staying home with her. But she wanted to say thank you, and that she appreciates everybody so much. It sometimes is hard to even get in words how much everybody means. So I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you to you guys, because without you, none of this would be here. I know Robbie said the same thing, but I really do want to say it. I couldn't say it strong enough that the things that we're doing, and I know I've met a lot of you in the hallways, and you guys all are saying the same things, that I don't know how you do it, and I know you guys get put down a lot. And the reason we do it is because of you guys. I mean, if it was just me saying it and I was told, oh, you're crazy, well, we would have went away. I would have blamed Mark Sargent and said it was his fault and just moved on. But because there was more people out there who kept emailing me and saying, keep speaking out, you're saying things we can't say. And because I was in a position working from home, that it was something I could do and wanted to do, that I'm doing it for all you as well as myself. So I just wanted to say thank you guys. And thank you guys for watching Globebusters. I know tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more. It was awesome meeting Bob and how awesome him and Cammy are, and they become like best friends. So it's really been awesome to meet all of you. And the point of my talk was going to be with videos and with a PowerPoint, and I had it done, and I thought about it, and I said, you know what, that seems too much like one of my videos. It seemed almost identical to what I normally do, and I wanted to do something different because anybody can watch my videos, and this talk is supposed to be about NASA and the space lies and SpaceX and ESA and you name it, and I do think they're all a massive deception, but I think it's important that everybody does their own research, and I try to point that out as often as possible, and I try to say it as often as I can, because if you ever are listening to what someone's telling you, or you're watching me point out space fakery or what I think is a hoax, I'm doing that to kind of get you on your way. But all of space travel, in my opinion, is fake. And all of outer space and the way that we've been taught it in planets and nebulas is completely different than we've been taught. And that realization ultimately comes with looking into this stuff yourself. And if anybody ever says, well, I think space is fake because Jeran says, or I think space is fake because Jeran showed it in a video, I think there's a big problem there, because it's exactly why we're in this predicament. That people think space is what they've been told because they've been told. And so this talk is going to be a little bit more about the importance of everyone, and that goes for scientists, that goes for professors, to look into the things that they're teaching, because I know teachers, and I know that the last thing they want to do is teach lies. Teachers want to educate, they want to excite, they want to enthrall, and even though the ideas of space that we've been taught might do that, if they found out that what they're teaching is a lie, they would all stop tomorrow. And so I think that the main point of what I'm trying to say is going to be the importance behind actually doing your own research and showing NASA to be the fraud that they are. I also wanted to say that I know that Robbie said we don't know 100%, and I would agree with that on one end, but I also know 100% one thing, and that's that they're hiding God. Without a doubt, in my mind, that is the reason for this all. And like you said, people are getting paid to do it. Carl Sagan said extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I think to tell children that they're spinning on a ball is an extraordinary claim. And to say that we're flying through space and that the atmosphere sticks with Earth sounds like extraordinary claims. Sounds like it's just ad hoc explanations for things that we would see on a spinning ball that we don't see because it's not spinning and it's not a ball. So it comes down to why are they hiding God and how can we change that, And to me, it comes down to really, that's why I do what I do, is for everybody, but it's because ultimately, if you just use your brain and you drop everything that you've ever been told, you are a created individual. This is a created place. This is a mind far greater than every single human being ever born had to be responsible for this. It's not an accident. It's not a explosion in space. It's not random molecules joining together, the laws of physics. You name it, all of it was put together, and it's obvious. And I think that that's what they've stolen from us, is that obvious nature. Lately I've been saying, and I don't know whether or not people agree with me, it's just something I've seen. I think deep down inside, I think everybody knows that it's flat. I think you were born with that way. I think everybody saw it growing up, and I think that because of the education that we were given and because of the indoctrination and because of every TV show and video and commercial and logo, they were able to change that feeling. But I think the ones that really hate us, or the ones that come down the hardest, it's because deep down inside of them, they know. And as hard as that may be for some of us to admit, if you're about the truth, if you care about actually talking about what things are true, and you actually respect people who are willing to speak out about that, then you will come to the realization eventually that we've been lied to, on the largest possible scale. So I just want people to look into what it is that you do believe, and I mean everything. That's from religion to science to where you live to every single thing deserves your thought process. And I feel like so many people in today's world simply accept what they're told, whether it's about their beliefs, whether it's about their science, whether it's about where you live. And if you're going to accept what you're told, then you need to be open to the fact that people will always lie to you. People will always try and get one over on you whenever possible. I've often said that there's nobody in my life that has ever not lied to me, and that's across the board. And so if your own family, whether it's for your own good, whether it's for some particular reason, whatever it is, people will lie to you. And if they can get one over on you, if they can do something that makes you less knowledgeable, that makes them make more money than you make, that makes you into a slave, then they'll do it. And I think that every bit of evidence that you can look at in your life should tell you that. And so I just want people to really look into what they believe, because if you're real, and I think so far as I can tell, everybody out there is real. No CGI here. But, I'm real. That's all I can say is that you may love me, you may hate me, and I prefer that you love me. But if you hate me, it's okay. I would just hope that you listen to the things I say, take them in, and if you don't like it, then you can listen to somebody else that maybe hits more home with you. But I think that we need to listen to the words that people are saying and actually learn to take what they're saying and then process it ourselves through our own realization of reality. Experience is life. And you're all here to experience the conference. And when you wake up every day, you're experiencing the day. And everything that we do is for the experience of it. And yet, NASA does what they can to teach you about something you'll never experience. And they force it down your throat as if it is part of your experience. And people have adopted it as if space travel is part of their experience, as if orbits are part of your experience, as if satellites are part of your experience. And they simply aren't. And again, that's my opinion, and I think that I can speak proudly about it, or I can at least speak with my honest opinion because of the research I've done that clearly shows me that these things are not legit. And I think people need to really take the time to look into satellites, for instance, just as an example. That, yeah, we're told satellites exist. We're told what they do. And if I say they don't exist and somebody makes a video and says, well, right here you can go to this website and it says right here that satellites exist and what they do, that those people are not realizing what I'm saying. And I thank you guys for being the ones that do understand what I'm saying. That if it's a deception, well then, no shit, Sherlock, if you go check out a web page that's about satellites, then you're not going to find the deception there. It needs to be a more robust research experience to where and it's something that people just don't do. They don't demand proof of things that we're told. Yeah, exactly. Bill Nye, who tells us, why don't tell flat earthers to go take a picture of the edge, and I tell Bill Nye, why are you teaching something for 100 years that you don't have a picture of the earth? That's the problem, is that we shouldn't be asked to find a picture of the edge when we're not saying we know there's an edge. We're not saying we know where that edge is. But you're telling us that you know exactly down to the millimeter where every piece of land is, how the earth operates, how it spins, how it orbits, how big the sun is, and yet we don't have a picture of the earth. And for NASA to be where they are, and I don't know how many people are here, but I'm guessing, let's say there's 400. Imagine that we gave each person here $52 million a day. Imagine that. And imagine after one, after one day, if we gave each person $52 million for the year, is what I meant to say. Because they get $52 million a day, and when you think about the 365 days in a year, and then you look at what NASA accomplishes at the end of 1 year, it's a joke. It is absolutely a joke to be shown CGI images, to be shown black and white images of Saturn's rings. It's a joke. It is absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen because of what it does to the minds of people. And I know I'm one of them. I've admitted before that when I came out of religion and saw that as a deception, I went to science because there they are with open arms saying, we're about truth, we're about evidence, we're about everything that you're looking for. And so I felt like I found home. So I recognize what a lot of these people that believe in science, I recognize what they're feeling and why they're there. And when you go there and you look for the evidence, you can be like me and actually dig deep into it, or you can simply accept everything that they tell you. And I feel like I've said it before, that science is really an excuse for people to be stupid. Because it's true. If you've ever seen these guys in forums or in comment sections, they just tell you, read a physics books, dude. Science, you don't know about gravity. And it's just an excuse to give up that search in life, that the point of education should be to always be moving towards the truth, right? And science should always be about moving towards the truth. And science should never be settled. It should never be settled science. And it should always be open for question. It should always be open for new evidence to come along. And that's not the science we're given today. We get Neil deGrasse and Bill Nye and these guys and Lawrence Krauss to go around and tell us that evolution is a fact, that there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when you look into it, there's nothing but ifs, ands, and buts. It is the worst theory that there ever has been, that has been forced upon every child in this country. And, I can't speak on behalf of other countries, but I'm sure it's as prevalent there. And so, getting back to what I was saying about the point of my talk is going to be about looking into your own, or doing your own investigation into everything. Because if you believe in evolution or you don't, I hope it's because you've looked into it. Because so many times in my life I've had a belief, and if it's challenged, I back away because it's not my real belief. And the highlight of my life, I guess I'd say at this point, has been when I said, I'm not going to believe things until I can prove it myself. I'm not going to adopt something as my belief until I've done the research behind it. And I still, every day, find myself saying something, or Missa will mention something and I'll answer it, and why are humans different than this animal? I'll say, because of chromosomes. And then I'll have to take that step back and say, okay, what do I really know about chromosomes? And then I have to go and research that and look into it and come to my own conclusion. But when you do that, and I challenge everyone to do that, you will feel so much better about everything that you believe in. And it's such an empowering feeling to truly believe what you believe because you believe it. And it sounds funny, but on the other hand, so many people believe things that they've never done research on because it seems to be matter of fact. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, because if you are at this conference, then it's because you are open to those things and you understand that, and you've recognized the power behind research and investigation. And I was just talking to Wide Awake. I don't know where he is. See him out here somewhere. Just talking to him out in the hallway. He has such an awesome channel because it's about observations. And when you learn to trust somebody like that, I can go to his channel and I can look at things that he's done, because I'm certainly not saying that I think we all need to just depend on ourselves. That you can grow knowledge even faster when you adopt certain people as trustworthy. And I think the people that we've adopted as trustworthy, NASA, different scientific entities, they're not trustworthy. And when you realize that, why do we continue to let them do what we do? Or why do we continue to let them do what they do? To me, that's my goal for definitely 2018. It's been my goal for, since I started this, but my goal is really going to be to put NASA to the fire and really force them to prove what they're saying is true, knowing that they cannot. I know that I've seen too much evidence of fakery, and I just ask people, rather than show you on the board here, hey, look at this, doesn't this look fake? Hey, look at this is clearly a scuba diver in space, whatever it might be. I beg you to do the research that I've done, which is just simply go and look at this stuff. Bring it up. It's actually funny, to be honest. I mean, you can actually have a little laugh at it. But really, you need to prove it to yourself and then start showing people. I've got friends who have now come over to the fact they're not quite flat earthers, but they definitely will say, well, yeah, you're right, NASA's fake. Put it to people. Make them state that they believe that's real. The other day I did a video talking to a guy, Sly Sparkane, and one of the things I asked him in his comment section, because he said, oh, you lied. You said that I believe in this thing, it's true. Well, I never said that. I said, you don't need to state that. I said, what are you saying, that it isn't true or it is? He said, well, I don't know why I have to state one way or the other, but I put him in that corner to where he had a choice to make. Either he's going to say that it's real, in which case I think it's laughable. When you look at some of this old 50s and 60s footage, it's clearly done in a studio. It's clearly done with wires or models. And I don't know how it's done. I don't know but we know what's real. And so when you put it on somebody to force them to state whether or not they believe that space travel has ever been faked, has it ever been fraudulent? And I think that that's a new method that I want to get people to really question everything. Because if they've faked it once, what's to stop them from faking it twice? And what's to stop them from faking it all? And to me, I don't see anything that tells me that we've been outside of low Earth orbit, and I don't even see anything that says that orbits are real. So if that's the case, then that means that they can only get so high, and they might be able to fly around at that height, but after that, everything from that point, and if you want to know that point, watch any space launch video. It's the point where the camera switches. Simple. It's not difficult. You've got people like Red's Rhetoric and those guys that watch space launches or rocket launches, and I understand why they believe the launch, and I understand why they believe the thing heading away from them, but then the camera switches. And then you get that awkward, weird look from behind the rocket, and the thing's glowing red as if metal glows red like that and stays together. But at that camera change is where you need to call people to pay attention and say, could this not be faked? How do we have any evidence that this is real? Where is there tangible proof? And when I say evidence, I mean not because the math works. You can make math say anything you want. But I'm talking about evidence as in tangible proof and observable evidence. We live in the world. We see with our eyes every day. You can recognize what's real and what's not. And I feel like there's something inside of us, maybe, because it was inside me too, that fights against calling a fake a fake. You almost want to reserve judgment or to hold back in case you're wrong. Well, force them, the ones teaching you what is true, to prove it as true. It's not our job to prove to ourselves that what they're saying is true. Force them to prove it. If you're going to teach children at an age of first grade, an age of 6 or 7, if you're going to teach something is a fact, then you better have every bit of evidence to prove that that is the case. And if you don't have that evidence, well, then I imagine you'd probably have to make sure you teach children when they're young. You'd have to make sure you put it in every school book. You'd have to make sure you put it in every commercial and every video and every movie. You'd have to make sure that before you say something about the ball Earth that you start it with, of course we've always known that the Earth's a ball. Of course we've known for thousands of years that the Earth is round. Because you'd have to constantly poke that into people's brains over and over again because of the fear that one day somebody would speak out. And you got to make sure that that doesn't happen. And what happened, and this is a result of it, this group of people and the people making videos on YouTube and the people speaking out have all realized that it's not true. And we've spoiled their plans by being that one person speaking truth. Because what happens when one person speaks truth? Another one hears it. And then 2 are speaking. And then 4 are speaking. And then 8 are speaking. And if you guys are like me, then you've realized that there is no going back. That's how fake what they're showing us is. That it's not a matter of, oh, well, NASA proved it by showing me this video. There is no going back. That it is fake because it's fake. And they're going to continue to fake it until they're gone. There's no option. There is no coming back from NASA once it's been outed as a fraud. They must only exist to perpetrate the fraud. That's their entire goal. So I think that this talk I wanted to really center on recognizing that, and this really goes to like teachers. Again, like I know that I've known so many teachers that were great people in my life. And in fact, my mom used to teach music, but she was a teacher and she did it for the children. And nobody wants to wreck the lives of children with lies. And when I say no one, obviously that isn't true. There is some people out there that do. And it's for their own gain, and it's for their own prosperity, it's for their own power, and it's despicable. It's bottom of the barrel garbage. I mean, those are the people that, I would love to say that I love everyone, and I love everyone as a brother, but anybody who wishes me harm like that so much that they're going to indoctrinate my mind with false ideas and my children's mind and my grandchildren's mind without a care in the world. Those people I don't think of as brothers. I really don't. Those people have something deeply wrong inside them, and we have the numbers, which is the most shocking thing that I think people forget is that they're outnumbered 98% to 2%. The people in this world that want nothing more than peace and want happiness for them, their brothers, their neighbors, their family, is a majority of people. But there is that other percentage of people that is tough to beat because they go to places we would never go. We would never indoctrinate children to push flat earth. We would never indoctrinate children to make them believe what we believe. And that's why over and over again we'll say it until the end of time that, do your own research. Come to your own conclusions, and that's how you get people to recognize the truth. But you never see Neil deGrasse or these guys say, do your own research, look into it yourself. They say that it's been settled. Read this book that was published by Rand McNally and these other groups that are part of these elite groups that don't care about you and they don't care about me. And so how do we go about doing that? How do we go about stopping NASA? How do we go about, and I think it all comes with information, with informing the public the best that we can. That's what my videos, the point of them is. The point of my videos is to try and get out the information to people that have never heard it before. Because if you hear a video where I say that space is fake and you should look into it, and rocket launches are fake, and the shuttle was just a big airplane with a helium balloon attached to it, if you hear me say those things and you choose to not look into it, then that's your business. That's okay by me. But I think that for myself, I never had the ability to question. I was never given that right because it was taught to me as fact. And so who wants to question facts? Who wants to dig into facts? It doesn't make a lot of sense. If something's a fact, well then it's a fact. Why would I need to really research it much? But when you come to these realizations and you see that facts are not true just because they're facts, if that makes any sense. Facts are not true because someone says so, or because someone has dictated to you that they are facts. A fact is something that can be tested over and over again. That can go back to observationally every time, and it always is true. And what they're showing us is simply not a fact. It's simply CGI footage, it's propaganda, and how high this goes, who at the ultimate top knows that it's the case, I don't know that, but I know that getting it into those ears is how I'll find out, you know. I did like an open letter to Trump as one of my videos because people will say, well, do you think Trump knows? Do you think he knows that space is fake? And I would love to hear him say that he thinks everything with space travel is real, because if you observe it and you look into it and you come to that conclusion, I have a hard time believing anything else you say. I have a hard time adopting any of your ideas because clearly you're not analytical enough to observe something and I'm not talking about one video. You know, that's not how you analytically look at something and come to a conclusion. You have to take all of it. And that's why I say I'm not a flat earther because of, you know, Mark Sargent's videos. I'm not a flat earther because D. Marble's videos. I'm not a flat earther because of somebody else's videos. I'm a flat earther because every single piece of research I've done is leading me to that conclusion. It's not because of one thing. It's not because I feel it's flat for this reason or that. It's because of everything. And when you've looked into every bit of your existence and over again things keep pointing a certain direction, well then I think you're a fool to ignore it. And when you really look into everything, I would love to talk to anyone who says that they believe that the earth is a ball and they've looked into it all. And those are the people, you know, I think Robbie said it best when he said, I'm willing to have a debate with any of those people. You know, I asked them to simply do what I do, which is stand in front of people with your face and with your name and be willing to stand behind the words that you're saying. And I'll debate anybody on those facts because it simply comes down to, have you been there? You know? Have you been to Saturn? Have you been to Jupiter? Well, the answer for every one of them is going to be no. And then it comes down to people arguing words that they've heard from someone else. And I think that alone will defeat any of them in a debate, from Neil deGrasse to any, you know, you've read a book, Neil. You're much better at memorization of astrophysics than I am. Have you been there? Have you been to space? Have you touched it? Do you know that it exists? For what reason? Besides, someone told you. And I think the more we go after people with that kind of mentality, and I wouldn't even argue that, I wouldn't debate from a position of, I know the earth is flat and it's shaped like this. Because I don't know. But I think that my evidence of observation, my evidence of experience is far more prevalent, is far more important than someone read it in a book. And that's really what space comes down to me, is if we only get the camera changes after the rocket launches and everything else is the words of a book, then it should be easy for people to see what could be going on here. And we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to our children and our family and our fellow human beings and our grandchildren. We owe it to each other to look into this with the fine-tooth comb, to dig into this with every bit of insight and every bit of evidence that we can, because of the implications if what we're saying is true. And that's something that the human race needs to do simply because of what happens if it is a lie. And what happens is the world ends up like, well, like it is. Go outside and take a look at what's going on with people and the hatred and the disgust, and they filth up the earth and they don't take care of each other. You know, one time my mom, I think, told me long ago that how easy life would be if we all took care of the person to our right. And what a simple statement, and something that's so simple when you think of taking care of one person and making sure that they have everything they need and the food that they need. So simple. And how easy the world would be fixed if we took that line of thinking. But instead, we have a different idea where some people are more important than others, some people's rights are more important than others, some people's riches are more important than others. And when you really break it down, I mean, when you look at it with the kind of investigation that it deserves, you realize that a lot of this stems from an atheistic point of view, the atheistic idea that we are all from stardust, that when we die, we wither away, and it matters not what you do on this earth. And that to me is a huge problem, that such a problem that it deserves that we dig into this with every ounce of our being to prove one way or the other. Either, let's put it this way, that if you are a flat earther, if you have looked into this at all and you've opened your mind to the possibility, then I think you can say one thing for sure, and it's because you don't believe NASA. So there's one thing that's different between people who believe in the globe and people who believe in a flat plane, and that difference is your trust of NASA. And so I think that needs to be exploited to the point where we all kind of see now that there is a divide. There is a clear line in the sand, if you will, between people who think we're crazy and people who understand why they think we're crazy. And that should be, and I did want to mention that I'm glad I left my tinfoil hat in the room, or else Darryl's joke wouldn't have made any sense at the beginning. But you can say whatever you want. They can make fun of it. They can make jokes about it. But when you are in this room, I know all of you have heard it all before. It's not something that bothers you anymore because we were all on the other side. My wife told me, do you think the earth can be flat? And I told her, shut up, that's crazy. What are you talking about? How do planes go around it? Don't be silly. And so I know we've all had that position to where we think it's ridiculous. And we know why it's ridiculous. It's because we were taught that it is ridiculous. We were taught that only desert wandering, nomads ever thought that the earth was flat, that it's the most ridiculous thought or idea that there ever was. And the problem for me is, if that's the case, then why is it when I tell somebody to look into this, do they come back and say, oh, it's interesting, it has some important points, it has some interesting things. And I'll always come back to them and say, that right there should be the biggest slap in the face you've ever had. That if something is going to be the dumbest thing that there is, if something is going to be the dumbest thing that you can, or the worst insult you can throw at somebody, you're a flat earther, then when you go looking at it, it should be the dumbest thing somebody can believe. It should be without evidence. It should be without any merit at all. And when you find that there is merit, then you need to ask yourself, well, wait a second, why would this be considered dumb? Why would this be considered the worst insult you can call somebody on Capitol Hill? If somebody says, well, this guy believes it's like a flat earth belief, and everybody laughs and chuckles. Well, if you were going to teach a lie as the truth, and you were going to hide the truth, well, then you would need to make sure that people thought that that truth was the dumbest thing that there was. That somebody who believed in the truth is the biggest idiot that there is. And that's the only way that you could perpetrate a hoax like this, is if you changed it around on people, where you teach people the truth is an idiotic belief, and you teach people that the idiotic belief, the spinning ball flying through space that never loses its atmosphere, that never varies in its path, to teach that as the truth is a mockery to me. And it wasn't ever. I used to believe it just like 95% or 98% of people do. I used to believe it too. But I challenge people to ask their friends, their family, next time they watch a sunset, there's nobody on earth that watches the sunset and says, well, this is fun, I'm falling backwards with my head and the sun's stationary, and here I go falling backwards, which is what they believe. That is what the sunset is if you believe in the ball, that you are spinning away from the sun, which is stationary. Nobody believes that, yet they believe in space and the ball theory and the NASA excuse for the Earth. But there's so many things like that. There's nobody who watches the sun go across the sky and doesn't realize that the sun is moving across the sky. That's what it's doing. And if you can't experience something, then to call it true is a huge step, right? If you don't experience spinning, imagine the amount of evidence, going back to what Carl Sagan said, and he was talking about religion, of course, not science, and didn't realize that he was teaching a religion himself. But if you are willing to say that you're spinning on the earth, and you're willing to say that you're flying through space, and you're willing to say that the sun is 1,000,000 times bigger than the earth. I mean, has anybody ever traveled around the earth? Have you traveled across the earth and you traveled to get here? It took me 5 hours on a plane to get here, and that was an awful big distance. To think that the sun is 1,000,000 times the size of the earth, that's such a statement that requires extraordinary evidence. And because your mathematic figures work out, is not extraordinary evidence, because it's angular distance. It's the same thing. If you reduced it mathematically, you could make it a different distance. And you'd have to adjust everything. You'd have to adjust Saturn, you'd have to adjust Jupiter. But none of us experience the planets. We don't experience that. What does anybody care about a gas planet anyway? I don't understand the fixation with a ball of gas, and we have to send these craft there. It's crazy. But I think that we need to recognize a fraud when we see it. And we need to stop believing in the people who are perpetrating these frauds. And I know that it's not going to happen in 10 days. I know it's not going to happen in 10 months. And it might not even happen in 10 years. But the truth is the truth. And as long as there's people speaking it, it doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be Mark, it doesn't have to be anybody. As long as someone's speaking it, it's going to grow. And so I think when this first started, I kind of felt like I was important. I felt like I need to get this information out, because if I don't, then what's going to happen? And now I no longer feel that way, and I thank all you for that, because now I know I could go away, Mark could go away, Patricia can go away, any of us can go away, and the truth will continue on. And I think NASA and the world that is perpetrating this hoax might realize that they were able to sweep it under the rug for as long as they have. And they were able to keep it out of people's minds. But the internet has been big, YouTube has been big. As much as they may try and squash it now, it's kind of too late. There's so many people who are starting new websites or starting new video downloading services or uploading services that the truth is going to continue on. And so we have to thank all of you for that, because some of us have radio stations now or radio shows, or some of us have other opportunities, and it's because of you guys. And I don't think that there's any stopping it anymore. And I don't think I felt that way from the beginning. I was afraid it could be stopped. And I don't think that's the case anymore. There's too many people who have realized that this deception is much more than we ever thought. I think for you guys, I know I'm the same, that when we heard about 9/11 or we heard about Sandy Hook, our first reaction was, no, that's crazy. No, that's not true. That's not possible. What do you mean the government's involved? What do you mean that wasn't a real event? But by doing the research is the only way that you realized that those things were not as we were told by your mainstream media. And then you did research on another thing, and you did something else, and then you realized that there's one group out there that's not doing any research, and that's the mainstream media. They absolutely, yeah. So the one group that is supposed to be doing research, the one group that is supposed to protect us from corrupt politicians, from fake science, from fake rocket launches, from fake rocket landings, that one group is not doing their job, And so it's going to take us to do it. And I think we've already started that. And you know, like I can't say it enough, I appreciate everyone for just watching, because we can't start a news network. That's not the place in the world that we are. These news agencies are all owned by the very people I spoke about earlier, that are willing to lie to your face, that are willing to pretend, that are willing to hoax, that are willing to CGI places and tell you that they're real. And when you look at NASA and you follow where they came from, their origination, and you watch the progression of what they've done, it becomes blatantly obvious of what they're doing. You don't go to the moon in 1969 and not leave Earth orbit since. You just don't. You don't celebrate Elon Musk's rocket landing when we did it on the moon 50 years ago with people inside of it and then took off again. You don't do that, It bothers me that it shouldn't be impressive, the things that they tell us are impressive, when these things happened before. When these guys are in Earth orbit for 17 years, supposedly, and we pay $87 million each time one of them flies to the ISS, what have they possibly done to earn $87 million one time? Once. Nothing. They've done absolutely nothing. And grill them on it. Ask them. The biggest thing for me, and I've said this time and time again, but it's a fact, and the world needs to know it, and they need to recognize what's going on. We, as citizens of this country, pay taxes, which are required. If NASA was a volunteer organization, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't care. If people who wanted to donate to NASA donated to NASA to be shown CGI pictures and told that it's real, it's on them. I don't care. It's not a volunteer organization. You are required to have your money go to NASA, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let them take my money to tell me lies. You know? And not just me, but my children, and my children's children. I'm not going to let somebody take my money and use it to inflict punishment mentally on people that I love, and that's everybody. We're all a creator's creation, right? We're all a gift. We should be recognize that. We should treat each other as such. We all have unique abilities. We all have our own special talents, and I feel like those things are being taken by groups like NASA. But you don't do the things that they're doing unless there's something sinister behind it. You don't go to the moon and tell us that you went to the moon, and at such a young age, and I think this is another thing that people have a hard time grasping, but by saying that we went to the moon, as a child, you grow up and you think it's possible to go to that ball in the sky. You think it's possible to stand on it, and de facto, then it makes sense. Oh, okay, well, I'm standing on this ball. And when you look at the whole plate of everything that they do, it's all meant for deception. And what I was getting at about before is that we all pay our taxes to NASA, and to pay somebody money in order for them to lie to you is a problem. I've already stated that. But on top of that, these guys are out there developing technology. They are developing new systems, new computer software. And one of the biggest eye-openers to me is when I found out that when they're done with these patents, when they're done with this technology, they sell the patents to the highest bidder. And if you know anything about economies or economics, when you do something like that, that drives prices up. Because what happens is a company buys that patent and they're able to charge more for their product because they're the only one that can use the patent. What should be happening, which is obvious, is that when we paid for the research, it's our money, NASA doesn't have any money, they get their money from us. When they develop a new technology, that technology should be released to the world for free. Yes. And that drives prices down Because then you've got all these organizations and businesses that all get to use this new fancy software that our money paid for. And to have that sold to the highest bidder so that that company can then use that technology to charge us again, I mean, that's like a slap in the face and a kick in the balls. I mean, it really is a disgrace. And so I just ask that people really take the time to, I guess, bring in your family, bring in your friends. It's hard, I know, and I've slowly started to do it myself, because at first you want to get a good grasp yourself. And now that I do, I'm venturing out and speaking out more and getting people to look into the things that they believe. And I think that if you do that, you're going to start to realize that it gets easier. I know a lot of people do a lot of different kinds of videos, and I am all for anything that people do. Be yourself, be unique, make a video. But something I've enjoyed doing is, talking with the opposition, talking with people that maybe people say, Jeran, why do you do videos with that person? Why do you let them talk to you that way? Well, it's because I don't want to get stuck in an echo chamber. I don't want to be what I think science is, which is, basically a circle jerk. That's what peer review is. That's what science has become, is, great job, you did great there, oh, you did great, and that's a great test, and they all just follow after each other, right? And I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be part of any kind of group like that. I want it to be more about growing in my knowledge. And that's not growing in knowledge when you have a group that's doing peer review and they all look at a paper, and if it doesn't match exactly what they already believe, they dismiss it. And if it maybe increases something, maybe we'll accept this. But to me, that is the antithesis of science. It's not science. And I think that everybody here is, I think what Robbie said at the beginning couldn't have been said better, that we love science. I mean, that's the sad thing about this whole thing, is that it's just the word science has been stolen by people who care more about their own prosperity than everyone else's. And I don't feel that way. I feel that we can move together as a people towards the truth. And I'm going to keep making videos, and I know a lot of people are going to keep making videos and pointing this stuff out. And again, the reason I didn't put things up on the board today and point out different things is because I challenge people to do it themselves. I want you to pull up the ISS footage, pull up the Apollo footage, pull up the Mercury footage, pull up anything. And that's another thing I point out. I don't care what videos you watch. If I was trying to lie to you, I would stop you from watching videos. I would say, well, don't look at NASA stuff, that's fake. Why would you look at that? And I don't say that. I want you to look at everything. Look into everything. And if you find something that you think is interesting and looks real, then send it to me, because I want to know too. But I'll tell you that the more you look into things will be the more clear this fraud has become. And so I challenge you to tell your friends and family the same thing. Is if you have somebody that thinks you're a flat earther and they think you're crazy, tell them, watch NASA footage. Go watch space footage. Watch the next launch. Tell them about the screen change. Right? Tell them that that's what's going to happen. Say, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. That rocket's going to launch. It's going to create a lot of smoke and fire, and it's going to get up in the sky, and then the screen will change. Ask them why we have no astronauts. Think of GoPro lenses. The GoPro cameras, they're everywhere. I have one. They're cheap. Why have we never just had a GoPro lens stuck to the side of a rocket as it takes off? You won't find it. And so when you really look into it, there's no pictures of the Earth. There's no evidence of these things that should be everywhere. It's 2017. Everybody's got an HD camera in their freaking pocket. And yet we don't have HD pictures of the Earth. And I've made videos about videos from the moon. We don't have videos from the moon of the Earth. Everybody questioned what's going on with the eclipse this year. Why don't we have, if these people cared about teaching and really giving us the truth, then that's what we would see. We would see cameras set up on the moon. Since it's always facing the Earth, it would be done. We'd be able to see it any day, any time. And the excuse can't be money, because again, you could easily have an advertisement on there. People wouldn't mind if it said Pizza Hut on the side of the thing, but we got to watch from... I just think that, in closing, I see my time's up. I went too long. In closing, I just want to thank you guys again for being here. I think it's a testament to Robbie. Robbie, thank you so much for setting this up. It's like a dream come true. It's something I didn't ever expect, but it's a maturity of a thought process that I don't see ending now. And that's because of all of you, that the more we demand proof and evidence of everything that we're told is true, then the more true that stuff will get. We just really need to make sure that we aren't buying into falsities. So if I say something that you don't agree with, if I say something that you don't believe, challenge me. Challenge me, because if it's true, then I should be able to provide evidence that it is true. And I say the same thing about everything that we're told, and that's the only way that we're going to call these guys out. And to NASA, if they're watching, get your act together, because we're tearing you down. It's over. It is over. Close up shop. And I can't say it any other way without being rude, or I'll save that for my videos, not so much here. But I think that if we all put our efforts together in getting people to believe only what we can prove, then NASA will be gone, in my hopes, by the end of the year. So that's my goal. I'm going to stick to it. Thanks, guys. Thank you.